Belfast, am I? A very good evening. Welcome to Saturday Sport Classified. The headlines: Corinthians will play Colby in the FA Cup quarter-finals next week. In hockey, Saracens A are off the bottom after holding Vikings A in the Men's Premier League. And the only winners of our travelling teams in rugby are Vaggers Women, who win 52-0 at Southport. Just give you an update on that weather. Outbreaks of rain, sleet or snow to start this evening. This tending to become more showery in nature and turn back to rain or sleet over the hills. This will be accompanied, though, by severe gale force southwest winds that will only start to decrease during the early hours of tomorrow morning. Gusts of 60 to 65 miles per hour, with isolated gusts to 70 miles per hour in the most exposed spots. Tomorrow, though, sunshine and isolated wintry showers, still a gale force southwest wind, top temperature of 7 Celsius, but with a significant wind chill. And also, just an update as well, the police around 46 minutes or so just reported a tree fallen at the Glenmoor Loop Road, and the DOI are off to attend to that. Just be a little careful out there. We will have some guests who are flying away tomorrow morning, so that weather looks like it's going to clear away and you'll get away. We will be just previewing Valkyre's ladies who are away in action tomorrow in English Cup competition. And of course, Backers men play Bowden as well, but that is a home game. But Bowden should be able to travel this particular weekend, having not been able to make it over a couple of weeks ago. Let's give you then the football results first of all, and then the rugby and hockey. In football, the ECAP FA Cup first round, it was Ramsey Youth Centre 2, Corinthians 4. Canada Light Premier League, Douglas Royal 4, Douglas Athletic 0. All the other games were postponed. Peel against St Mary's, that match was abandoned after 68 minutes. It was 1-1 at the time. Only one result in JCK Limited Division 2, Douglas and District 0, Colby 7. In Combination 1, it was Corinthians 9, Castletown 0, Douglas Athletic 2, Douglas Royal 3, St George's 7, Russian 2. And in Combination 2, Colby 6, Douglas and District 1, Governors Athletic 2, Ayr 5, Onken 2, Michael 2, and Union Mills against Ramsey Youth Centre. That, again, was abandoned in the second half with the score 2-0 to Union Mills at the time. In the rugby, the North 1 West match, Wilmslow against Douglas, actually was postponed due to a waterlogged pitch. Lancashire and Cheshire 1 Shield, Ramsey 20, Garstang 33. Lancashire and Cheshire 2 Premier, Old Bedians 15, Vagabonds 13. Women's NC North West, NC1 North West, Southport 0, Vagabonds 52. And in the Manx Cup, it was Douglas Celts 51, Southern Nomads 0. Rossborough Men's Hockey Premier League, it was Ramsey A 0, Backers A 8, Saracens A 3, Vikings A 3. In the Rossborough Women's Hockey Premier League, it was Backers A 0, Vikings A 9, and Valkyries A 10, Saracens A 1. And Sam, I think, was just waiting for one result there. Castletown A and Ramsey A, they're still waiting on that one. Yep. Let's go to the men's Division 1 then. And Castletown A, Backers B, that game was abandoned. Valkyries B 4, Vikings B 3, Vikings C 0, Harlequins A 3. In the women's Division 1, it was Castletown B 0, Valkyries B 7, Vikings B 3, Harlequins A 0. Men's Division 2, Backers Colts against Valkyries C. That game was abandoned. It was Ramsey B5, Castletown B1, Saracens B5, Harlequins B1. And the Women's Division 2, Saracens B0, Valkyries C3, and Vikings C2, Backers C2. So I think just listening to those results, you can tell it's been a bit of a blustery afternoon with postponements and then abandonments. But those that did go ahead, well done indeed, in pretty awful conditions this afternoon. The football won't take long. this afternoon, because there wasn't a lot of it. Tony Mepham, a very good evening to you. Corinthians will play Colby in the ECAP FA Cup quarter-finals next weekend after they played their catch-up game, winning 4-2 against a very battling Ramsey Youth Centre.
Yeah, by the sound of it, Ramsey Youth Centre did really well today. It was 2-2 at half-time. Graham Kennish with one for Ramsey Youth Centre. New signing Darren Hudson got the other one. But for Corinthians, 2 goals by Steve Whitley. Danny Gerrard got one and Sean Doyle got the other. So as you say, Corinthians go through to the quarterfinals now to play Colby next week. And we're back on track. So well done to everyone. Well done to Ramsey Youth Centre. But unfortunately for them, it's Corinthians who's just got those 2 goals in the second half to put them through.
And they play Colby away next Saturday. In the Canada Light Premier League, the big story was the big game, Peel against the leaders, St Mary's, and it was 1-1 at the time, if I recall correctly, and 68 minutes in. I think there was a goal kick, wasn't there, taken by the Peel goalkeeper that basically blew back and over his head and out for a corner. And at that point, the referee, who'd already indicated he wasn't too happy with the declining conditions, had a word with everybody and the game was abandoned.
Yeah, I think it was fair enough
It is a bit farcical if you take a goal kick and
exactly.
You concede a corner with nobody touching it.
Yeah, let's have a look at the first half. It was windy conditions anyway. It wasn't too bad, but everyone was enjoying the game. It was a close battle. Craig Murphy got the first. Good work down the right-hand side by Sammy Gallen. And Craig finished it off well. But Peel's equaliser, it was wind-assisted. It was a free kick. Dan Simpson it was who took the free kick. And it went over the top of Sam Holliday and made it 1-1 at half-time. But as you rightly say, and Andy Ball had taken the goal kick and the wind just caught it, blew it back out, and it was a corner ball. And you could see Stuart Neen indicate to Andy Lodge, what do you think? And I think, I said on the radio, was it a freak gust to wind? I don't know. But
well, you were on live when the abandonment happened.
Exactly. So we sort of just continued, and then I think a couple of other incidents happened, and the referee spoke to Andy, and then it also spoke to Steve Faulkner and St Mary's, and then they decided to abandon it. And the wind did get stronger after that, Tim. So right decision.
I take it was blowing towards the Douglas Road end, was
that's
it?
Yeah, coming off the golf course. So it's a shame because there was a good crowd there. Everyone disappointed, but I think the players were happy enough because it was pretty wet, Tim. Cold as well, so well done to them. I'm sure they're in some warmer climates now.
So that will have to be replayed, won't it? And bad news for the goal scorers, those goals don't count.
Yeah, they get chalked off, and the score could have stood if both clubs would agree, but there's too much at stake, so it's not going to happen.
Got to be played again, hasn't it?
We'll slot that in when the right dates come along.
The only other result in the top flight, Douglas Royal 4, Douglas Athletic 0, a much-needed win to lift themselves away from the bottom trenches of the league.
Yeah, it's an important one as well, because when you look at the Douglas Royal, they play alongside Corinthians. Corinthians' game was abandoned, because of the weather, but Douglas Royal cracked on, and Douglas Royal were 1-0 up in the first half, and that goal was scored by, I think it was Jamie Agnew. Carl Watson, 16 years of age, Tim, so well done to him. Got the second one. Then our guest on Football Focus last night, Taylor Andrews, made it 3, and Sam Cox got the other one. Douglas Royal, obviously, Michael Fitzmaurice, the manager, absolutely delighted with that result, because with only 4 points on the board, 3 today, 7, it's getting them away from that bottom of the table, puts them in a safer position. Douglas Athletic will be disappointed.
JCK Limited Division 2, only one game went ahead here, and even that was switched because it went down to the station playing fields down at Colby. Douglas and District 0, Colby 7, and that man Carl Hickey again on target.
He is, and he's doing well for your team, and it was 2-0 at half-time, and both goals were scored by Carl Hickey, but then Carl got another 3 in the second half, so that's 5. So 33 goals this morning, 5 today, that's 38. So he's well and truly in the lead for the Silver Boot. Ashley Blake got one, and Luke Roberts, his strike partner, got the other one. So it sets Colby up nicely for the big game next week against Corinthians.
And it moves them back to the top of the table.
Yep.
Let's go through the Combination 1 games, and we'll begin with that abandoned game. It was 9-0 at the time to Corinthians. Will that be viewed a little differently to the abandoned game in the Premier League?
Yeah, it will do, Tim. It's pretty convincing. There's no sort of set times on abandonments now, because if it's through injury or whatever, but if it's quite clear where the result was going, we'll check with the opposition. That's what I've done. I've checked with Castletown, and I should be getting news through any time. But 9-0, it's pretty convincing. But, it was over 70 minutes played. Jordan Cowan got 2. Joe Middleton got a hat-trick. Adam McCulloch got 3 as well. And Phil Kelly. There's no sort of panic on the Combination 1 or Combination 2 because their fixtures aren't too bad. But certainly the Premier League and Division 2, we're falling way behind now. And with cup dates coming up on Good Friday and Easter Saturday, we need to keep things going. And it's a shame that the Bowl artificial surface anyone could have played down there was left idle today, but it's the way it works.
There will be some that will say, how can you treat one abandoned game differently from another?
Well, exactly. But I think it's being fair because 68 minutes the Peel game was abandoned, but both are going for the league. If Castletown turn around and say, no, we're not too happy, we'll have a look at it ourselves, but the rules are quite clear. But I always do the courteous thing is just check with the opposition first to make sure that they're comfortable with it. But we've had games before, Tim, where we've had serious injuries and, the stuff has been knocked out of the team that have lost the player, and they just said, we're quite happy for the score to stand. We were 3-1 down or something. So, yeah, I think common sense comes into it as well. And, Castletown last week couldn't field a team. So, it was awarded as a walkover here. They've had a game. It was sort of 20 minutes from the end of the game, but we'll see what Castletown say.
OK, Douglas Athletic 2, Douglas Royal 3.
Haven't got athletic scorers, but a cracking result once again for Douglas Royal. James Clark was the player who did most of the damage. He got a couple of goals, and Dom Smith got the other one, so another 3 points for Royal.
And the only other result was St George's 7, Russian 2.
Yeah, I haven't got St George's goal scorers, so if you could text us through 166-177. But for Russian, the 2 goals scored by Kyle Lom.
In JCK Limited Combination 2, Colby 6, Douglas and District 1.
Yeah, 2-0 at half-time to Colby. Haven't got D&D's scorer, but for Colby, Andrew Hughes got 2, Dave Thomas got a couple of goals, and Daniel Thurwell got the other 2 goals for Colby, so good result for them.
It certainly is, and but with both the pitches being used, Dickie Gale has been on, hasn't he? And the cup game tomorrow, I think it's a cup game, Colby and Corinthians is not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Corinthians have been informed, referees been informed, and wise decision. They've got a great facility down at Colby, and they do seem to be able to get away with this bad weather that's been coming in, but I think the weather that we've had over the last 3-4 weeks has just taken its toll, and the pitch has cut up a little bit today, so there's no point making it worse tomorrow with the weather that's coming in tonight. So they've played safe and called the game off, so we'll rearrange them.
Governor's Athletic 2, Air 5.
That's the only information we've got on that one.
All right. Onken 2, Michael 2.
Yeah, close battle this one. Onken took the lead. Ethan Levers got the first one. James Carouche made it 2. Then for Michael, Jack Smith. Actually, Jack equalised to make it 1-1. James made it 2-1. Then Carl Moore got the other one to make it 2-2. And a good report in for John Short, the referee. Handled it really well. Difficult circumstances to referee the game in with the wind and everything else, but the players enjoyed it and wanted to thank him.
And the game at Union Mills was abandoned in the second half, but Miller's 2-0 up, but ref called it off.
Yeah, referee called it off, and that's fair enough, and 2-0 as well. Ramsey Youth Centre, it doesn't say who the 2-0 was, because if Ramsey Youth Centre had won that one today, they were near enough champions. So they'll have to just delay their celebrations a little bit on this one. But they've won every game so far this season, so they've done well. We'll rearrange this one as well.
You made reference to it. We've got an email in here. About time the FA start using the bowl to its full potential. No game on it today, so it's sat vacant. Foxdale have 13 league fixtures left. They're still in the Woods Cup, Hospital Cup, and in a good place to qualify for the Paul Henry Gold Cup. Always seems to be the big clubs who get offered the bowl when it's available. That's what you get for starting the season in September then. Surely it will get sorted and go back to August. So the point being made, why with teams that have got a backlog of fixtures, offer them the bowl.
Right, you've got 3 questions built in one there, Tim, so we'll go first question. Why do we start in September? Because the clubs chose to. That's not the FA's choice. The clubs chose to play the second Saturday after Grand Prix finished. Because the way Grand Prix, you'll understand it now, Tim, they have racing on the Saturday in between. So it's the stop-start thing. Clubs made that choice. The second one is why do the Premiership sides get offered to it? As far as I know, Tim, because I instructed Kevin Maitland this morning to offer the bowl to anyone because it was there available, no one will pay for the money. It's £160 to use it, Tim. It's not free. It's not the Isle of Man FA's facility. It's government's facility. We have to pay. And going back to it, if you remember, the only game that was played, which was Corinthians against Laxey in the cup game, it was Laxey's fixture, so Laxey should have picked up the tab. But Corinthians paid half of the pitch hire, which is the right thing to do. I think that's what clubs should do. And actually, a club, I won't name them, a club today was asked to play at the bowl, and they chose not to because they don't want to pay the money. You know, we can't make them. Sports clubs aren't littered with pound notes, Tim, so it's just one of them. But it's not our facility to say, here, guys, come and use it. It's government.
And it costs money.
Of course it does.
Thank you, Tony Mepham, with our football there.